Hey guys, what is going on? This is Wrestlelamia, back with another episode. The news never stops and neither does Wrestlelamia. Join us now as Wrestlelamia looks at the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know, including potential plans for Roman vs. Brock, Braun Strowman's unlikely job offer, death threats to Danielson, why Twitch is so important to wrestlers, Shane McMahon's fury at Randy Savage, and more. Big plans for Brock vs. Roman? Our top story today deals with the upcoming match between Universal Champion Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar at Crown Jewel. After months of speculation, Brock Lesnar returned to WWE at SummerSlam, confronting his arch-rival Roman Reigns. Now that the two are scheduled to clash again, some fans are wondering if the Tribal Chief's bout with the Beast will be a one-and-done or a lengthy series. According to this week's Wrestling Observer newsletter, fans should expect this showdown to continue. While discussing the lineup for Crown Jewel, Diamond Dave Meltzer noted, "From what we understand and what makes sense, this is not a one-and-done program. For one, unless Dwayne Johnson is wrestling Reigns at next year's WrestleMania, this would appear to be the biggest possible Mania match. So the idea here is to build to a return, whether that means Lesnar wins to build to a rematch or some disputed decision takes place. There is also Paul Heyman in play, as the storyline is written to tease that Heyman is a double agent and you don't know who he will side with when all the chips are down. It makes no sense for WWE to stop this program at one match, given Reigns being over as a heel and Lesnar posing the biggest threat to Roman's title reign yet. One of the problems now is how to stretch out the program until WrestleMania, assuming WWE wants to run a Reigns vs. Lesnar match at 2022's Showcase of the Immortals. No matter how exciting a Lesnar vs. Reigns series could be, WrestleMania 38 is still 6 months away, and that's still a long time to drag out any program. That's not the only problem Reigns is facing on SmackDown. Meltzer also pointed out another problem on the Blue brand, discussing why Drew McIntyre's move to SmackDown is so important. SmackDown is so bare on the top babyface side after Reigns pretty much ran through Owens, Balor, Cesaro, and Rey Mysterio, means one would think Lesnar would be a multiple-show series. McIntyre is there, but they also have to elevate other people. Pushing Hardy can be done, but it's a stretch at this point because of how much he's been marginalized, and Ricochet has been marginalized far worse. I suppose you could turn Sheamus, but that's a stretch as well. You could also put the title on Lesnar to keep Reigns vs. Lesnar interesting for a longer period of time. As Meltzer and others have mused, one possible solution would be to have Lesnar win the Universal Championship and have Reigns chase him for it. This could breathe some life into Reigns' character, as he's been champion for over a year, and fans know he's going over whomever steps in the ring with him. Wrestlelamia thinks a Lesnar win presents more booking possibilities for SmackDown, and while the concept of thinking a part-timer like Lesnar should win the championship in order to freshen things up is counterintuitive, the reality is that Reigns' act is showing its age. While the fans are behind him, there's no suspense in him defending the title, a problem for pay-per-views as well as the wrestlers who inevitably face Reigns and lose. Wrestlelamia isn't saying that Reigns should turn babyface, although the fans are definitely behind him, but he should lose the title. This would allow him to not only chase Lesnar for the title, but have other wrestlers chase Lesnar for the belt and even battle with Roman to see who gets a Universal Championship match. What do you think? Should Roman Reigns lose the Universal Championship at Crown Jewel or keep it? Let us know in the comments below. Why Twitch is so important to wrestlers. Ever wonder why some wrestlers refused to surrender their Twitch accounts to the WWE when the promotion told wrestlers to turn their accounts over to the company? Now, a report from the website The Verge has the answer, and as you've likely already figured out, it's all about the money. The site posted some figures for wrestlers' income from Twitch, with Ringside News speculating its likely annual income. The figures were reportedly obtained after Twitch suffered a data breach. Page reportedly brought in $478,224, while Adam Cole took in $318,080. Even Tyler Breeze did alright, accumulating $43,755. One of the more interesting figures is that of Zelina Vega, who earned $341,748. Vega fought WWE on its third-party ban, with some fans and pundits speculating the WWE released her due to this. However, Vega returned to the WWE, apparently putting aside her differences with the company. The question is whether or not she is still keeping her Twitch income, or whether she's worked out a deal with WWE. Danielson's death threats. Disturbing news for Bryan Danielson, as the former WWE superstar is reporting he's received death threats since joining with rival promotion AEW. Apparently, some so-called fans didn't take this well, and according to this week's Wrestling Observer, Danielson did note that while he considers this a very small percentage of fans, he has gotten crazy death threats from WWE fans. As Wrestlelamia has suggested before, it's difficult to classify these oddballs as fans, but there's no question that some people get fixated on forms of entertainment ranging from sports to movies to sports entertainment. That time, Shane McMahon destroyed a Randy Savage poster. The mystery over the reason why Randy Savage was rumored to be unwelcome in the WWF and WWE for years, with things not changing until the Macho Man's posthumous induction into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2015. Now, a story from Brian Solomon, who worked for WWE from 2000 to 2007 as a writer and editor for WWE's various magazines, is raising eyebrows. During an appearance on Brian Last's 605 Super podcast, Solomon discussed whether he knew about why Savage was supposedly a taboo subject in the WWE. Nobody ever said why. I have to be honest without getting into all that. I never knew any of that while I was working there. I found out years later at least whatever the rumors there were. I can tell you it was definitely a name that you can't bring up. Among the jobber crew of us working there, you can say whatever you want. Among certain people, you definitely didn't want to bring that name up. Solomon referred to a specific incident that suggested the heat between Savage and the McMahon family. We had a Randy Savage one-up. I remember at the time I was working for Shane McMahon. He was the head of our department for a little while. I remember he came out of his office, he saw the Randy Savage poster tacked to the wall. He walked over to it, he literally poked it as hard as he could with his fingers repeatedly until it fell off the wall. Then he stepped on it and walked back into his office. The wrestling world will likely never know the truth about the wrestling urban legend that suggests some sort of relationship between a teenage Stephanie McMahon and the WWE Hall of Famer Randy Macho Man Savage. While this story offers nothing conclusive, it's certain to add fuel to the fire when the subject comes up. Drew McIntyre still wants Tyson Fury. Drew McIntyre remains one of WWE's top babyfaces, while Tyson Fury remains one of the boxing world's premier performers. Fury, who battled Braun Strowman in a boxer versus wrestler match at 2019's Crown Jewel, is still interested in wrestling, as seen by him repeatedly calling out former two-time champion Drew McIntyre. McIntyre hasn't backed down, and during an interview with Sportskeeda's Kevin Kellam, he brought up the possibility of a scrap with Fury, suggesting a SummerSlam in the UK could be a good venue. Next year will be the 30-year anniversary. I've been pushing it. The interest, as much as I've been saying all this time for the past year, during the UK tour every night, I spoke about it because any chance I get, I will push the idea of a UK pay-per-view. I think I may have started a little spark that can ignite a fire because suddenly the internet's telling me that it's happening. If it takes a big match like Drew McIntyre and Tyson Fury to draw the eyeballs of lapsed fans or new fans to WWE within the UK, then let's do it. Whatever we have to do to make it happen, I'm all about that. With more stirrings of the WWE working to mark the 30th anniversary of 1992's SummerSlam in Wembley Stadium by holding 2022's SummerSlam in the UK, a McIntyre vs. Fury fight could be a great headliner. What do you think? Should McIntyre and Fury fight? And if so, should it happen at SummerSlam? Undertaker willing to train his daughter to wrestle. Now that The Undertaker has retired from wrestling, it's unlikely fans will ever see him in the ring again. But what about his daughter Kaya? During a recent chat with ET Online, the Phenom discussed whether he would ever train his 9-year-old daughter if she chose to enter the squared circle. I'll tell you what, I don't know. If it's in her heart, and that's what she really truly wants to do one day, I'll do my best to coach her up. Obviously, her mom will too, but we'll see what happens. We have a long way to go before I start worrying about that. As Taker mentioned, his current wife, Michelle McCool, could lend her expertise to Kaya's training. The Undertaker has 2 other daughters and a grown son. Indie company offers Braun Strowman a job as a janitor. Last but not least, it looks like indie promotion Black Label Pro is looking to get some free publicity and possibly an ass-whooping from Adam Scherr, aka former WWE superstar Braun Strowman. Scherr, who recently spoke about turning down big money deals from, quote, every 3-letter company, has been a constant subject in the news as fans wonder where he's going. Black Label Pro wasted no time offering the monster among men a job when they saw a story about his supposed abundance of job offers, tweeting, "A great addition to our janitorial staff." Hopefully Schur has a good sense of humor, or he'll be using the tweeter's head for a mop. Well guys, there you have it, the wildest news, stories, and rumors you need to know in wrestling. What did you think of these stories and rumors? Be sure to leave your comments, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and I'll see you next time for some more wrestling content.